Hello guys, welcome to Science Learning Gateway. I hope you all are doing good. So today in this tutorial we are going to discuss all the important reactions from the first chapter of chemistry, that is chemical reactions and equation. This is for class 10 students and many of you have requested to upload the important reactions from the first chapter. Likewise, from every chapter I will make a separate video for the important reactions from the chemistry section. So let's start with the important reactions from the chapter number 1, chemical reactions and equation. Along with the reaction, in this chapter we have read about the types of reactions also. So when we are going to discuss the types of reaction, that time I will explain you also what is the definition of that particular reaction, so that you can understand the reaction, you know how to write the reaction, and you can score good marks if the questions will ask from the reaction section. So let's start with our discussion. Okay, so the first reaction which is given in chapter number 1, which is very important for you all, is photosynthesis reaction. It is photosynthesis reaction. Okay, so what is that photosynthesis reaction? It is 6CO2 plus 12H2O in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. What product we are getting? We are getting glucose, C6H12O6. Along with that we get oxygen and water. So you know that in photosynthesis what happened? The plant makes its own food using carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and chlorophyll, and they make glucose as their food. Along with that they release oxygen and small amount of water also. So this is the reaction for photosynthesis. 6CO2, this reaction is the balanced one. So whenever you will write the reaction in the exam, you have to write a balanced reaction. 6CO2, 12H2O in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Don't forget to write sunlight and chlorophyll in the reaction. After that you have to write glucose. The formula of glucose is C6H12O6. Along with that you will write 6O2, 6 oxygen plus 6 water molecule, H2O. This is a complete reaction for photosynthesis. Next we have, now let's come to the types of reaction. So the first type of reaction which you have to read in this chapter is combination reaction. From the name you can understand combination means two substances are combining together to give you a single product, that is called combination. Okay, so what is combination reaction? In combination reaction, two reactants react together to give a single product. For example, A and B, these are two reactants. They will combine to give you a single product AB. So in the same way, you can write C plus O2 will give you CO2. It is also an example of combination reaction. So the most important combination reaction which is given in your textbook is calcium oxide, that is quicklime. It reacts with water, H2O, to give you calcium hydroxide, CaOH whole 2, and it is called slaked lime. Along with that some amount of heat is also released. As you can see that in this reaction some amount of heat is released. So it is also an example of exothermic reaction. So what is exothermic reaction? The reaction in which small amount of heat, the reaction in which large amount of heat is released along with the products is called exothermic reaction. So this reaction is for the example of combination also, and for exothermic also you can write. Calcium oxide, that is quicklime, will react with water to give you slaked lime, CaOH whole 2, calcium hydroxide. Along with that heat is released. The next example for combination reaction is burning of coal. So coal, you know that in coal carbon is present. So we will write carbon plus. So for burning anything we need oxygen. Without oxygen substance cannot burn. So carbon in the presence of oxygen, it will burn to give you carbon dioxide. So it's true, whenever we burn any fuel containing carbon, carbon dioxide gas is released. So it is also an example of combination reaction. Carbon and oxygen both are combining to give you carbon dioxide. The third one is formation of water from what? H2 and O2. Hydrogen and oxygen both will combine to give you water, H2O. So twice H2O plus O2 gives twice H2O. So that is also an example for combination reaction. So suppose in the exam it can be asked that many times this question was asked. What is combination reaction? Give one example. So what you will write? In combination reaction, two reactants combine to give a single product. Don't forget to write single product. Single product we will get from two reactants. Example you can write, any example you can write. You can write C plus O2 gives CO2. Even you can write calcium oxide plus water gives calcium hydroxide plus heat. H2 plus O2 gives H2O. Any example you can write from here. The next is decomposition reaction. Decomposition means breaking down. So in decomposition reaction, what happens that a single reactant will break down to give two or more products. A single reactant, for example, this is our reactant AB, and it will break you to give A plus B. So in decomposition reaction, a single reactant will break down to give two or more products, just opposite of combination reaction. The reaction which you are going to read over there is FeSO4, iron sulfate, ferrous, also known as ferrous sulfate. When you will heat ferrous sulfate, you will get ferric oxide, Fe2O3 plus SO2 plus SO3. This reaction is very important reaction. In model question paper also this reaction was asked, that what happens when ferrous sulfate is heated. So when we heat ferrous sulfate, the ferrous sulfate will break down to give us ferric oxide, Fe2O3, along with that SO2 gas will be released and SO3 gas will also be released. So from a single reactant we are getting three products, Fe2O3, SO2 and SO3. This reaction is an example of decomposition reaction, and how this decomposition is occurring. It is occurring because of heat. When we heat ferrous sulfate, we are getting three products. Also, this is an example of endothermic reaction, because in endothermic reaction, heat is used to heat is absorbed in the reaction. So in this reaction also heat is absorbed to give us the different products. Next is calcium carbonate. This reaction is very easy. Calcium carbonate, CaCO3, also called marble. When you will heat calcium carbonate, you will get calcium oxide plus calcium plus carbon dioxide, CaO plus CO2. This reaction is a balanced one, no need to balance this one. Calcium carbonate, when you will heat it, you will get two products, calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. It is also an example of decomposition reaction. It is also breaking down to give you two products. Also an example of endothermic reaction. Next, this reaction is very important. This reaction is very important because from this reaction many times questions are asked. So what is this reaction? Let's see. Lead nitrate. So what is this lead nitrate? Lead nitrate is PbNO3 whole 2. PbNO3 whole 2. Lead nitrate, PbNO3 whole 2. Okay, when you will heat this lead nitrate will break down into three products. First one is your lead oxide, PbO, plus NO2, nitrogen dioxide, plus O2, oxygen. So many times this question is asked, what happens when name the brown color fumes which is obtained when lead nitrate is heated. So from which product gives us brown color fumes? So over there, nitrogen dioxide will give you brown color fumes. So whenever lead nitrate is heated, you are getting nitrogen dioxide as brown color fumes. Many times this question is also asked, name the product obtained when lead nitrate is heated. So whenever you will heat lead nitrate, you will get lead oxide, nitrogen dioxide, along with that oxygen also we will get. So for balancing this equation, you have to put 2 over there, 4NO2 over there, and now the reaction is balanced one. So remember this reaction, lead nitrate. Whenever lead nitrate is heated, you will get lead oxide. Along with that, you will get nitrogen dioxide. Along with that, oxygen is also produced. So these all the reactions are the examples of decomposition reaction using heat. We have three types of decomposition reaction. Decomposition reaction using heat, that is called thermolysis. Decomposition reaction using water, that is called hydrolysis, and decomposition reaction using electricity, that is called electrolysis. Decomposition reaction using heat, decomposition reaction using electricity, and decomposition reaction using sunlight. These three types of reactions are given in your textbook from chapter number 1, chemical reaction and equation. The next reaction is, the next two reactions are also examples for your decomposition reaction, but these two reactions, in this reaction we are not using heat, we are using sunlight to break the given substance. So this is our silver chloride, AgCl. In presence of sunlight, it will break to give you silver, Ag plus chlorine gas. You have to balance the reaction. Now it's balanced. So silver chloride, when silver chloride will come in contact with sunlight, it will break to give you silver and chlorine. In the same way, silver bromide, when it will come in the contact of sunlight, it will give you silver and bromine. Okay, so both these reactions are example of decomposition but using sunlight. And these two reactions are also used in black and white photography. So these two reactions are also asked in the exam, that write the reactions which are used in photography or name the products when silver chloride or silver bromides are exposed to sunlight. Next type of reaction is displacement reaction. This is also a very important reaction. In model question paper also this reaction was asked. Different types of question can be asked from here. What is displacement reaction? Give one example. They will give you an example of displacement reaction and you have to say that which type of reaction it is and why it is that displacement reaction. That also you have to say. So what is displacement reaction? In displacement reaction, the more reactive element will displace the less reactive element from its salt solution. For example, we have this product. We have this reaction. In this reaction, element A is more reactive than B. So what element A will do? It will displace B from its salt solution and it will take its place. And it will form a product AC and B will come out from the reaction. So this is your displacement reaction. In displacement reaction, the more reactive element will displace the less reactive element from its salt solution. So many examples, 3 examples I have provided you over there for displacement reaction. Any one of the example you can learn. Okay. The first one is Fe plus copper sulfate CuSO4. In this reaction, iron is more reactive than copper. We know that iron is at the top of in the reactivity series. So iron will displace copper from the salt solution and it will form FeSO4, iron sulfate. Okay, so this one experiment was also given related to this experiment, that what happens in the color of copper sulfate is bluish in color, and if we put an iron nail in that, after some time we will see that the color of the bluish color disappear and we can see a greenish color because of ferrous sulfate. Okay, so why this is so? Because iron is more reactive than copper. It will displace copper from its salt solution and it will form SeSO4 and copper will come out from it will get deposited in the reaction. Next is zinc, Zn plus CuSO4, again copper sulfate. When zinc will react with copper sulfate, zinc is more reactive than copper, it will form ZnSO4, zinc sulfate, along with that copper. Next, lead will react with copper chloride, CuCl2. So when lead will react with copper chloride, this question was asked in the model question paper for SSLC exam. So it is also important. So lead is more reactive than copper. It will take the place of copper and will form lead chloride, PbCl2. Along with that, a deposit of copper can be seen in that reaction. So any one of the example you can learn for displacement reaction. I recommend you to learn the first example, that iron and copper sulfate, Fe plus CuSO4 give SeSO4 plus Cu. In that, iron is more reactive than copper. The fifth reaction is double displacement reaction. In double displacement reaction, what happens? 2 or more ions will exchange their places and the new reactants will be formed. For example, AB plus CD. In that, 4 ions are given over there. The 2 ions will exchange their place. A will combine with D to form AD and B will combine with C to form BC. The ions are exchanging their places. So that is called double displacement reaction. So you can see an example over there. Sodium sulfate, Na2SO4. It is reacting with barium chloride, BaCl2, and the product you are getting is BaSO4. Means barium will combine with sulfate, BaSO4 will be formed, and sodium will combine with chlorine to form NaCl. So the ions are exchanging their place. Both barium and sodium, they are exchanging their places to form the new product. And this reaction is also an example of precipitation reaction, because in this, the barium sulfate, whenever this reaction will occur, we can see a white precipitate of barium sulfate in the reaction. So this reaction is also an example of precipitation reaction. So what is precipitation reaction? The reaction in which a precipitate is formed is called a precipitation reaction. But what is the meaning of precipitate? Precipitate is a substance which is not soluble in water, which is insoluble in water. So you can remember this reaction for double displacement also and for precipitation also. Now, let's come to the fifth type of reaction which is given in your textbook, that is oxidation reduction reaction, also known as redox reaction. This reaction is also known as redox reaction. Redox reaction. So what happens in redox reaction, oxidation reaction? Both reduction and oxidation takes place simultaneously in the reaction. It means in the same reaction, oxidation will also occur and reduction will also occur. Those types of reaction are called redox reaction. You can see at the example which is given over there. CuO, copper oxide, is reacting with hydrogen to give you copper plus water. So copper oxide is changing into copper. Reduction is taking place over there because removal of oxygen. Reduction means removal of oxygen. Oxygen is removed from copper oxide and it is forming copper. And hydrogen, it in this oxygen is added, means in this process oxidation is occurring. Oxidation means addition of oxygen, and reduction means removal of oxygen. Okay, now separately we'll look at the reaction. Copper is reacting with oxygen. When you will heat copper with oxygen, you will get copper oxide. So it is an example of oxidation reaction. Next one, copper oxide will react with hydrogen to give you copper plus water. So in this reaction, copper is getting reduced and water is getting oxidized. So both the processes are taking place in the reaction. It is an example of redox reaction. Next one is zinc oxide. Zinc oxide plus carbon. So we are getting a product called zinc plus CO. So in this, loss of oxygen is going on, so it is an example for reduction reaction, and in this oxygen is added, so it is an example of oxidation reaction. So both means both the reactions are taking place in the same reaction, so it is an example of oxidation reaction. Next type is manganese dioxide, MnO2 plus HCl. We are getting a product called MnCl2 plus H2O plus Cl2. In this reaction, you can see that oxygen is removed from manganese and it is forming manganese chloride. So reduction is occurring for manganese, and in HCl, chlorine is removed and oxygen is added, so we are getting water, H2O. So in this, oxidation is also occurring. So this is also an example for oxidation reaction. The best example which you can learn for redox reaction is CuO plus H2 gives Cu plus H2. Next, the two other reaction which you have to read from this chapter is exothermic and endothermic reactions. So what are exothermic and endothermic reaction? In exothermic reaction, heat is released. Large amount of heat is released in exothermic. Exo means outside. So along with the product, you can see a large number of heat is released in that reaction. So you can see burning of natural gas. Whenever we burn any fuel or natural gas in the presence of oxygen, we get the products. Along with that, large amount of heat is also released. For example, you are burning wood. So when you burn wood, carbon dioxide gas will be released. Along with that, large amount of heat is also released. So that is an example of exothermic reaction. So CH4, it is the main component of natural gas, methane. When you will burn it in the presence of oxygen, you will get carbon dioxide, water. Along with that, you will get large amount of heat also. So it is an example of your exothermic reaction. Next, respiration, which occurs inside our body. It is also an example of exothermic reaction. In respiration, what happens? That glucose, C6H12O6, it will combine with oxygen and it will break down to give you carbon dioxide, water and energy. This energy is also a form of heat, so it is also an example of exothermic reaction. Now let's come to endothermic reaction. In endothermic reaction, heat is absorbed. So you can take the example of calcium carbonate. So when you heat calcium carbonate, it will break down to give you calcium oxide and carbon dioxide, CO2. So it is an example of your endothermic reaction. So with this, we have discussed all the reactions, all the important reaction from chapter number 1, chemical reactions and equation. You can copy down all these reactions in your notebook so that you will remember each and every reaction. And if suppose the reaction will be given in the exam, you have to write the product, then also you can write. If they will ask you what is combination reaction, give one example, then also you'll remember that yes, we have read this reaction, so we can write that example. So I recommend you that no need to learn all the reactions. The important reactions which was there in first chapter, everything I provided you in this slide, you can copy it in your notebook. So guys, if you like this tutorial, then please click on the like button, share with your friends, and don't forget to click on don't forget to subscribe my channel. If you're new to my channel, then please subscribe to it and don't forget to hit the bell icon. And please put your beautiful comment in the comment box so that I will also feel motivated. Thank you for watching.